Ranking the conferences here at the Voice of College Football. Please like these videos, share the videos out on social media. You enjoy the content. You know what? Others will as well. So please share the videos. People out there don't know that we're here with you each and every day with the best discussion, debate, and analysis of college football, not because of me, but because of you. That's why it's important to subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for the notifications to know when we go live so you can join the conversation. The conversation today involves the Big 12. We are in the midst of a series ranking the conferences, not based on my evaluation, not based on the eyeball test, but based on objective and subjective analysis of the results this season. So in the past, as we've explained, we've gone through this offseason exercise of ranking the conferences in the Power 5 based on their results against the other conferences. The problem there was we were not able to include the group of 5 results. So therefore, we are ranking all the conferences, all 10 conferences this particular offseason using the ranking results from the previous video that we released, 1 through 130. Please check out that video as well as the explanation of this system. So if you don't understand the system, please check out the initial video release in this series where we explain the system. We've knocked out the Pac-12. Give us your feedback on the Pac-12. Now we look at the Big 12 and the results on the field that determine how good the conference was in 2021. Let's look at it. First, the wins for the Big 12. Keep in mind that the Big 12 won 29 games against the other conferences. They went 29-8 against the other conferences. 10-6 against the Power 5. That looks pretty good, but we've got to put the results into context. We would expect conference champion Baylor to beat the worst team in the Big 10 or the ACC, of course. But Baylor against Ole Miss, that was a good result for the Big 12, of course. It was the best team in the Big 12 based on conference seeding, beating the third best team in the SEC, Ole Miss. Just an example right there. So we give weight to that. And again, we explain that in the initial video. 10-6 against the Power 5. 10-2 against a group of 5 seems to be a good mark as well. Again, we will explore the results. Those wins could be against the likes of Houston and Boise State and really good group of 5 teams, or against the lesser group of 5 teams like a UConn or UMass. So we've got to look at that. 9-0 against the FCS. So big deal here is that the Pac-12 went only 7-2 against the FCS. They tripped up twice against the FCS in only 9 games. The Big 12 was perfect against the FCS, and that is what you would expect a conference like the Big 12 to perform against the FCS. Looking at the wins, the most impressive win for the conference, not against necessarily the best team, but considering the matchup, Texas only went 5-7 last year. They only went 3-6 in the Big 12, so they were one of the lesser teams in the Big 12. If we seeded the Big 12, they were in 6th or 7th place in the Big 12, and they beat a group of 5 champion, a team that finished 13-1 in Louisiana. So that week 1 game, Texas-Louisiana, 165 points. And again, to understand the point system, go back to the original video. Texas over Louisiana, 165 points. And one of the few games in all of college football where a lesser seeded team, based on the point system, beat a higher seeded team, Texas over Louisiana. Also, we have some impressive wins with Texas Tech beating Mississippi State. Going into that game, of course, Mississippi State was a substantial favorite. The Red Raiders won the bowl game 34-7. So 129 points for Texas Tech and the Big 12 there. Oklahoma State over Notre Dame, as we've got Oklahoma State at number 5 in the country in our final rankings, and Notre Dame at number 9. And then we've got the Texas Tech game against Houston in week 1. Of course, the Houston Cougars finished out at 12-2 and won a bowl game over Auburn. Good win for the Big 12 right there. Other substantial wins: West Virginia over Virginia Tech, like-seeded game there. We mentioned Baylor, Ole Miss, as well as Oklahoma, Oregon, or some other games right there that rank very well as we run down all 29 wins and the point values given to those wins based on our system for the Big 12. Baylor, BYU, good win for the Big 12 as number 4 ranked Baylor beat number 26 BYU in that one. So those are the wins. TCU, Cal included there as 121 points for the Big 12. Now let's turn to the losses. Sometimes the losses can be embarrassing. Sometimes the losses are understandable. So the losses, like the wins, they are not all created equal. If the worst team in a conference loses to a second or third place team in another conference, that should not be counted heavily against that particular conference losing the game, because that's understandable. If the worst team in the ACC loses to the best team in the Big 12, well, you do need to credit the Big 12 for the win over the ACC, but it needs to be given little weight, as opposed to if the 7th place team in the Big 12 beats the 3rd place team in the Big 10, great win. A lot of credit, a lot of weight given to that victory, and that's the way it should be. Let's look at the losses here. The most substantial loss for the Big 12 is not really a huge loss, so really no embarrassing losses here for the Big 12. Most of those like-seeded losses are losses that you would expect to see, as Duke beat Kansas. So that a pretty similar loss there in regards to seeding for the two conferences right there. Also, more than 100-point losses here. Maryland, West Virginia, comparably seeded teams, ranked teams. Clemson, Iowa State. Of course, the Cyclones gave Clemson a good run in the bowl game and lost by a touchdown. SMU with an upset win over TCU, but still, it's a quality American Conference team with 105 points right there. The Iowa State game, as it played out, Iowa State lost 6 games in a 7-6 season. Iowa finished at 10-4, so that's a victory or a loss for the Big 12 right there. As it played out, Arkansas turned out to be a top 15 team in the country at 9-4. They beat Texas. You see the points given to the loss right there. And so those are the 8 losses suffered by the Big 12. Again, pretty impressive on the surface there for the Big 12. 29 victories, 8 losses. What does it all mean? Well, you see the point values given to the wins and the losses. And then if you do the math, the Big 12 finishes with 875 positive points. So the wins are an addition. The losses we subtract as negative points. So you can't have negative points. Check out the Pac-12 video. You can definitely have negative points. So 875 points for the Big 12. They played 37 games. What does that mean? For right now, it just means 875 points. Got to watch all the videos, take in all the conferences, and we will compare them based on the results on the field right here at the Voice of College Football. Please like the video, share the videos out on social media, subscribe. Let's grow the channel so I can continue to analyze college football, and we can do it together because it takes time to do these videos, and so we need them to be seen and to be liked and to be promoted right here at the Voice of College Football.